Hey guys, we are back again. Let me start off by first apologizing for having such a big gap in between the videos. It's been a pretty turbulent few weeks. Let's just keep it at that. I've had some personal struggles deeper than I've experienced before. And I've still been trading. I've still been requesting a few payouts here and there. To keep up to date where we're at, we only have two accounts left. We had some combines which we took yesterday and blew them on the first day, but we have a 150K combine which is not going so great. We also have one of the funded accounts that we had at the start of episode one. Blessed, this one's on day 12 on winning days. I've just been blowing accounts left, right, and center. I've not been in a good emotional spot. I've recorded a lot of episodes, and then because I take a loss, I turn off the recording, I revenge trade to try get it back. And sometimes it works, but then I don't even have the courage to be like, hey, I'm happy with this trade. This is what I took. I just ignore the video and keep going. That habit builds, and it's really just been a bit of a snowball effect. And I'm grateful to God that I've been able to take a step back and go, whoa, you're not even really trading at the moment. You're pretty emotional and not doing what you said you were going to do. The first step is getting back to uploading the wins, the losses, everything. That way it keeps me accountable as well. Make sure that I'm taking the trades and the setups, which I'm proud to share, and I'm proud to be like, this is what I took. I'm trying to shorten the videos as well. I only want to be taking one or two trades in London and one trade in New York. So three trades max a day. Been watching obviously the footage and just seeing how much that I do over trade. The plan will be as soon as a trade is done, whether it's break even, whether it's take profit, whether it's stop loss hit, lock myself out for 30 minutes and go do something else. In that time, I'm probably going to be journaling. Journal how the trade went. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And just build up my arsenal on what I do that's working and what's not working. And yeah, it should limit the over trading. I've just seen so many times being up and then giving profits back, or being in a loss and then compounding on that loss. So the game plan I'm going to stick to, just keep it simple. Really keep it simple. I've got another screen which has my trading view set up. It's got a 10-minute of the NASDAQ chart, and I'm just rocking with the 5-minute here. Using the 1 minute really just as liquidity sweep confirmations. Ideally, I'd want to see this be taken on a one, but the body close above, and that's going to confirm the liquidity sweep or total sweep. Ideally, the big moves, I'm going to be adding a lot of size, are going to be with the trend, but there's still opportunities here. If we zoom out on a higher time frame, we have been traveling down. We're at a retail area of support. As you can see, we're struggling to really break through this line. So I think before we get there, we've got volume imbalances, we've got Asian session high, we've got fair value gaps on a 30-minute. We still got this little pocket up in here. If we go on a 1 hourly chart, there's massive imbalance in here, this inverted fair value gap, which we could come and try test 50% of. I will just mark this. This is all important. This is all part of the reason why I need to film myself, because it's just accountability for myself to be able to actually take some time to plan these trades out and have the patience and the discipline to do what I said I'm going to do, and stop changing that, stop altering it, stop being emotional. That's the bottom line. Bringing too much emotion into this. That's my goal for today. It's not really about the money. I think even with that $525 a day challenge mark, although it's a good reference point, and I probably should be looking at that from a weekly perspective, I think looking at it from an intraday perspective, I don't know, the focus shifts. I'm not focused about the charts and the market anymore. I'm focused about my P&L. And everyone knows that's an easy way to start going downhill. It's very hard to be consistent on that as well. So just watching the charts, the strategy is going to be my 5-minute here, my 10-minute here. I'm looking for a candle, preferably a doji candle to the downside. If we had had this 5-minute close up here, this would have been my entry. We've got a lot of buyers stepping in. We've wicked out liquidity here. We haven't closed below it, and we've pushed back up on a 5-minute. That's the entry, and the stop just goes below the 5-minute low. When do you exit? So the points to exit, usually on a 10-minute chart, which obviously you can't see, every time one of these 5-minute candles has a lower body than the previous one, again, this is all Tom Hugard's work, this isn't mine, by the way, then the stop loss goes just at the previous 5-minute high. So that's our entry was here, stop loss here. As soon as we see this candle close below here, stop will go here. We wait, price is coming back, we don't do anything. And then as soon as this candle here closes below this low, stop loss will move here. Or ideally give a little bit of room here or here. Same thing comes down to here. Alright, from this candle, would have it here, move it here after we see this candle. Same thing, come down here, and we have our stops at this candle here. So we don't get a lower low past this low here anymore. So ideally, once you see something like this, liquidity sweep, and then we have this 5 minute, you could probably get out here. But if you were disciplined and just left the stops here, even then what would that be? Entry up here, stop loss, let's say we took the swing high, and we get out at this. So it's almost a 3R just from this move here. Obviously, it'd be hard, but if you capture the full move, I'll ignore this week because it'd be very hard to get. But let's say you even got it down to here. Very decent setup. And again, this is only in Asia session where price really isn't moving that much. Is because my biggest week where I requested that 10K withdrawal was from letting my winners really win. We saw it live, and I was still cutting trades a little bit earlier than they needed to be. Yeah, could have had a bit more in there if I had just stuck to this strategy and the process. And that's the main thing. It's not even about the money. I guess that's what we quantify our processes as. Is money coming in? Because otherwise, what's the point? Why are we doing this? Why am I wasting my time looking at these charts when I could be spending time with my family, friends, working another job? Money's important, don't get me wrong, but I think the process, sticking to that, so that when the emotion's running high, when I'm tired, when I'm a little bit more agitated, because ideally it'd be great if every single day I came to the charts, my mindset was 100%. That's not the case. And any job, you're never going to be 100% the same mindset every single day. I can work towards making that as optimal as possible, meditating, gym, good food, good sleep. But at the end of the day, I've just got to have a process that, regardless of the emotion, works. And so this is what I'm going with. Mixing with ICT, we've got this pre 2 a.m. liquidity. Usually, if 2 o'clock ranges like it does, as we're seeing here, 3 o'clock's usually going to be a sweep of either the highs or the lows. And then we look to expand for a little bit, and then 4 a.m. expecting a reversal. So, ideally, in this case, if we zoom out just a little bit, we got Monday's low right here, which I thought I had labeled, but evidently not. Let me label this real quick. Got Monday's low. Yeah. We have Monday's high all the way up here. We got volume imbalances all the way down, all this low resistance liquidity. It could be the potential run that just takes all of this here and we just floor based on the economic standpoint. Who knows? And I guess that's the beauty of this, is that you can just let your trade run. We're at all-time highs. This is most likely just a pullback into one of these pockets before we continue up. But for now, until I see that change in state of delivery, it's short city. We're just going to be riding the shorts for the time being. I've got an alert set here. I've got an alert set at this high as well. So as long as we're in this range, I'm not touching it. There's nothing high probability about this. And we're just going to sit tight in our hands. More than likely 3 o'clock is going to be where we see a bit of action. So come back to the charts at 3. And again, yeah, keen to just be better and better. Implement new rules, have the process more defined, and work on being consistent. Appreciate your patience with this video coming out later. Let's get it. Right, so I've actually got a green light signal here. I'm looking at 10-minute. We have closed quite nicely above, so just looking to see if we can get in on a fair value gap, potentially on a 1 minute, maybe taking out this liquidity if we can come down. If not, I'm happy to just take this trade long. Just watching my 10-minute chart here, I see a fair value gap. We could come back and try retest. More than likely it's going to be around here. We got a nice volume imbalance as well. Just waiting to see how low this can potentially get for us. And if not, ideally the entry should just be from there, right? We're going to run with this. Got 3 micros on the table. I got my max loss limit here already sorted. So stop loss is going to be at this low here. I think that on the 10-minute, that's more than likely where the point is. Let me just actually find this. Okay, so it's a bit lower. So we'll go here. I'm happy to risk about, so with 3 trades, 460 divided by 3, you're looking at probably around 155 around about. So I'm happy to risk around 155 on this trade. We'll see if we can come down here to add a little bit more. but ideally we would be wanting to aim for about Asian session high here. Potentially push a little bit higher as 3 o'clock comes in as well. Taking out Asian session high, potentially bouncing off one of these spots in here, maybe even running a little bit deeper into this hourly FVG. So I'll just label this. Looking like we're coming down just a little bit. Looking to add on another 3, as long as this isn't above that sort of 150 point. That's where I'm going to be looking to take the trades. Ideally, I wanted this liquidity to be swept before we had this move, but I'm seeing on the 10-minute here, just based on the strategy, we have taken some form of liquidity here. We've bounced back. We should have made new lows here. We didn't, and we've had a move to the upside. This is where we're looking to risk in. And in terms of my take profit, I'm not going to set one. I'm just going to wait using that strategy, looking at the 10 minutes whenever we make a new high, then the stop goes under the 10-minute level. So my stops are a little bit tight at the moment. I think this is a better spot. If we're taking out this liquidity, more than likely we're going to run here. And then we could potentially look to try one more trade around 3 o'clock. Based on the setup, this is what's presented, and this is what we're going to take. Let's wait and see. I will look to come in probably every 10 minutes or so that you guys aren't sitting here waiting for hours. Okay, so just for a little bit of trade management, I did go to that 1 minute volume imbalance, which we did talk about. If we can close above here, I'll look to add 2 more to the position. Just because everything else is still flowing, and this is just pyramiding for me. I like to pyramid early because then I'm at the entry point already. But again, I'm mindful and I'm anticipating losing. I think that's what I want to change as well. That way, when it does hit my stop loss, as long as it's at a level that I predetermined to be okay, it's not going to wipe me out. I'm not risking 400 of my 469 available today on this one trade. I'm okay, comfortable taking that $111 loss. I've still got in $58 of capital to use for the rest of the day. That's fine. That's why I just got to be careful if I'm going to add more. Probably look to only add 2 more, so we're not going above that 150 that we did say we wanted to keep as the max. Not looking great at the moment. Looking like we're getting a closure around that volume amount. I want to see a closure bullish above all of this down close that we have at the moment. Could potentially be like a 15-second or a 30-second imbalance or gap, which you might be running for, maybe just the liquidity there. If we get stopped out here, we get stopped out. This might be a little bit early on me getting in just pre-3. The initial plan of taking out that liquidity and then moving up. We'll just have to wait and see. But stops are in a logical spot. Just going to let the trade do what it needs to do. I get stopped out here, so we won't pause it. We'll just see what the market wants to do. I think all of this gets run, and we go for that pre-2 a.m. liquidity in that yellow line. There we go. First loss. A bit frustrating. Did get in a little bit early. Model presented, and that's fine. I took the trade. It is what it is. So we're going to wait for hopefully 3 a.m. We see this liquidity taken and then reversal back to the upside. So just going to wait and see. Okay, so we're back at 3. As we said, just waited it out. So after this trade, will be where I journal and lock myself out, unless we're approaching that 4 o'clock reversal, because that's the main move that I'm going to be looking for. So ideally, if we're pushing up all throughout 3, then 4 o'clock we should see that dip continuing to the downside once more, and looking for Monday's lows to be taken. Hopefully we get this liquidity sweep that we were planning before. We got all these equal lows. All right, we did get that sweep we're looking for. Now definitely wanting to see a closure above this line. Then we're going to wait for the next 5 minutes to see if we can have some bullish momentum take off. Ideally close above this city. All of this is being filled. So if we can get close above here with a lot of bullish momentum, looking at the volume as well, you can see a lot of buyers stepping in. That's going to be our confirmation stops will now be at this low as we've taken all the liquidity out from here. So lots of people have been going in long, myself included, who had stops around here. There's less buy orders, they've all been filled for now. And so this is where smart money comes in. Obviously after being stopped out, now they have the momentum to go long. So That's the game plan anyway. We're going to wait for the next sort of 5, 10 minutes and see if we can get an entry. Okay, beautiful. So we did get that 5 minute closure above. We've swept. We close above in here. Got some significant volume on this candle as well. So we're just looking for this 5 minute to see if we can eclipse. Now, in the past, usually I would just take the long here and have stops here, but I'm really just trying to work on this process and make sure that I'm on side. There's the distance between, let's say we can close up around here, or for us to get in here, is quite negligible. At least now I know that we have momentum on our side to continue pushing up higher. And again, we could only just hit here and then floor back down. Even now, if I'd gotten in here, I'd be in drawdown, I'm stressing out. So yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm really going to try to work on for the time being. So yeah, wanting to see if we can push higher from this point. If we don't, and we stagnate, or more than likely 4 o'clock is when we'll see that move. So if we pull down short in the last 4 seconds, it's going to invalidate it for me. See, that's not good enough. And this is going to hopefully coincide with the next 10 minutes. We've created a doji and closed bullish on the 10-minute chart that I'm looking at here. This isn't enough for me to take now. If we close back up here where we were before, I might be interested. But for now, we're just going to sit on our hands again. And this is why I like recording. I'm actually a lot more patient in my trades if I'm doing it properly. So we're just going to wait. Continue waiting. Audio should hopefully be a little bit better. Sorry I wasn't plugged into my mic, but we are back and patience does seem to be paying here. We have inverted all of this, so looking for a pullback into here. Just being mindful again of 4 and that reversal time frame, which we usually see. But we're just going to trade what the market gives us, really. I'm not going to try to be preemptive. We've got Asian session high here, so it might just be a wick for that. And then we melt. So I'm just going to keep my eyes peeled, or potentially we do push up way up into that hourly fair value gap, which we highlighted before. And then maybe US session is where we get the move to actually come back. So just waiting here. We've got our entry point in here. I'll make this green. We can get to this line, just tapped it. So 3 lots in here, potentially put another 3 on. I'm just waiting to see this 10-minute closure. If we do get that closure on the 10 as well to confirm this 5, then that's when we're jumping in. So I'm liking the volume in here. We actually have got more volume than all of these candles. After wicking, bodies are still respecting this pre-2 a.m. liquidity. I'm really liking this entry, actually. So glad we waited. It is unfortunate we did take a little bit of a loss going early. I think that's my fault. Trying to reflect on what really happened with that. I don't think we entered around here, I believe, on this candle. I'd probably still take it. We've had this sweep. I probably should have just waited because this was bullish. Sorry, this bearish closure. It wasn't really that reaction wick that we're looking at, like here, for example, or even here. We had this wick, we had this closure, then we have this 5-minute, which is the confirmation. Got our little pullback in here. And then just watching the 10-minute chart on this side, we got a Cibi and everything else looks quite filled. There is a little gap here around the 10-minute. So that'd probably be a point to watch. Just waiting for this last minute. If we get a nice strong bullish closure, we'll look to add 3 more to the position. And then we'll go through the trade management aspect of it. Every 10 minutes, we're going to take the low. If we're continuing bullish, we're making higher highs. We'll take the previous candle's low and just trail it up. Because we are counter trend right now, the full move has been to the downside. I'm really only trying to maximize the profits while noting where we could potentially reverse. So looking at all these entries to pyramid in, we've got another spot in here which we'd like to take. A little bit better than just going on the market here, but again, we could just pump from here. Liking the volume as well. Buyers are starting to step in. Obviously nothing compared to this, but it's a good indication. If we can get a pullback into here, tap this, and then continue to go, it's ideally what we'd be looking for. We're going to take off 2 just before Asian session highs. Equal highs right here as well. See if we can come back, get a fill. That 10-minute has closed beautifully. There is a imbalance in here on the 10-minute, which we could come back for, but it's a pretty big gap. Ideally, we just punch higher, but let's wait and see. Just gonna move my stops to this low here. Probably might be able to hear my little one going off in the background. Tantrum time. So here we go, is using FEGs as potential spots to get back in. So there's volume imbalance right there as well. So we're looking at again on the 10-minute, I think it's under just this low. So for the time being, everything stays the way it is. Ideally, we want to use half of our capital in London and then half during US sessions. That's going to be us for London. We're going to lock ourselves out until US and just journal what went right, what went wrong. Based on what's happened previously, this does look to be a turning point, at least to recover just a little bit of the downward move before continuing lower. But we'll just wait and see. So we're approaching that 10-minute BCE right now. Okay, we're at it right now. So just see if we respect that green line or whether we want to push significantly past it. Again, just gotta wait for the close. I've been faked out so many times like this. You get a nice injection of volatility and you're thinking, oh, sweet, we're turning bullish again. And then you just watch it come back and drop and move in even lower than where it was. So got a minute just to wait, sit on our hands, just be patient. Just a bit skeptical of 4 o'clock coming as well. But really, if it's a reversal, because we haven't pushed higher yet, hopefully that's where we do start to have our upward momentum push. Let's just wait and see. If we respect, I'm going to add 2 more. Because everything is stacking up quite nicely. I do pyramid a bit, what's the word, aggressively, let's say. But the main thing, as I said before, I want to add a lot of my size at my original entry. I don't really want to add when I'm up here, even though we've pushed and maybe we've got a FEG in here, but it's going to really hurt my entry position and stops. So if I can add in at a similar point from where I originally bought, brilliant. Especially after confirmation, like something like this. Wicking that liquidity, respecting this, and that's that 10-minute BC as well. So we get that closure, go to about 50% of this wick. Again, not the reaction that we wanted to see. I probably would have bought higher, would have bought at the close of this candle anyway. So we did get a slightly better entry, but this is where we're going to be at for majority. I want to take off half of the trade at key levels. I'm not trying to be greedy, especially when I'm going counter trend too. Reviewing my previous trades, that's really what has let me down, is trying to hold on for these monsters, which I should be doing to maximize the wins, minimize the losses. And also, I just realized the lights off, so you probably can't even see me. But also, just recognizing that I don't need to be so greedy. I think focusing on the money is a big thing that doesn't help with that. I think when I'm looking at the P&L and things like that, ideally I'd want to change this so I don't see P&L and L and I just see percentage or something like that. I don't think Top Step have that yet, but that'd be a great feature to add. We've got 8 micros. It's probably the max risk that I'm going to be looking at employing right here. Hopefully we can start to see some bullish momentum around that 4 o'clock period as well. And then looking to let this one ride. I'm just going to let the trade do what it wants to do around 4 o'clock New York time. Okay, so we're approaching the closure of this 5-minute. If we can close above the high of this previous bullish candle, we'll adjust stops to the bottom of this low. That's how I'm going to be adjusting the stops going forward. Let's say we close here, then the next 5-minute closes here, then we adjust stops to the bottom of this next 5-minute candle and so on. We're protecting ourselves from the downside. I am going to be mindful of the little gaps that do form because price does have a tendency to come back, fill, and then continue. So that's why using the lows of the previous candle should be enough. So ideally we fill out this BC in here, which it looks like we did. We close above here, stops will go here, which protects us. I think the steepness of this move yesterday, it really has set the field for lower prices. Gap down as well, all of these factors to keep in mind. Again, we're at all-time highs, so who knows? Let's keep watching the markets and see what it wants to do. Okay, it's 4 o'clock, so London open right now. Let's have a look. Let's see if these lows are susceptible to a 4 o'clock run and then push. If that's the case, then I think my strategy going forward is probably rather than coming to the charts at 2, maybe just coming at 3 because it's a lot of brain power to sit here for 2 hours. If we get stopped out and then it reverses and runs, I'd rather just miss out all of the liquidity grabbing and just come when the real move is occurring. So here we go at the open. Ideally, we should see a lot of volume coming in this 5 minutes. We're already less than a minute in, and we're almost at the volume of these two candles. I don't like that even with this bullish momentum, we don't have the volume to back it up. These two candles already have more volume than these two candles. We did almost challenge this high, but the volume tells how many people are actually in this move. If it's only a few people, even though it might look great on the chart, it's a bit of a disparity to the data. So we're just going to wait and see what this candle wants to do. Not adjusting stops, not touching anything, moving things, changing my plan after I've already preset it is not ideal. There's been a lot of times where I've closed myself out and the trades actually ran to where I wanted it to go. So this 5 minute open isn't looking great. Still respecting this 10-minute BC that I'm looking at on this other chart right here. Just wait and see what the market wants to do. Okay, so we might be looking to get stopped out here. We closed so bearishly at this 5 minute gap, and it's looking like the momentum is still wanting to push lower. We didn't see that explosion at 4 though, so unless this is it and it's just a bearish move instead, really isn't looking too good for us here. All right, so we're very close to 50% of that wick as well, the consequent encroachment, CE as people call it. I just had to check myself. I think I'm a bit fearful right now, just being completely honest, vulnerable. Not liking how this trade's going, especially after taking a previous loss as well. I think I just need to remind myself to breathe, chill out. It is what it is. We've accepted the risk. I added those two micros as well once we were at this sort of 5 minute level. If this trade doesn't work out, that's something I want to review. Make sure that we're only adding to the winners. I'm trying to not be emotional, even if this was to come back up here, not be emotional and be happy. And now that it's coming down to here, close to my stop, not trying to be emotional and unhappy as well, just to be flat the same. It's hard though. I'm just being vulnerable. That's how I feel. So just gonna let this one ride out. And yeah, we'll check back in another 5 minutes. Might be stopped out by then. Alright, so given it a few minutes, I just decided after seeing it get here, I just need to get off the charts, just spend some time with the fam, come back, check in 10 minutes or so. So it's looking pretty positive here. We are at a SIBI right now, which I definitely would want to see us disrespect in this next 2 minutes. And as we said before, if we can break above the previous bullish high, which is actually going to be here now, that's when more stops. It's more than likely we're going to be looking at going break even, but we need a closure above here and we'll just scale. But again, we might not get there. We might just react off this CB and then push lower. But it's been a very slow London session today. Very slow, which is just hyping itself up more than likely for US session. So just got to wait and see. Last 3 seconds, looking to see if we can invert, which we do. Very good to see. Just gonna check the 30. So the last 30-minute candle we had was quite bullish. This one, hopefully if we can get a nice bullish closure, be looking for up and around these areas. Just wait and see. Got another 4 minutes to go. It's looking like we're still just ranging for the time being. We had a nice bullish closure here, but this bearish move is coming way down. So we're gonna put stops at this low now, shave about $30 off. Still keeping ourselves in the position because ideally if we're getting down here, we're more than likely going to run through here as well. It's a bit frustrating sometimes having to sit through these sort of longer trades where the market doesn't really do anything. But the plan is still set and we're just watching our risk. That's the main thing that I want to try and employ. On the 1 minute, it's not looking too great at this massive down close bearish candle here. So it is looking highly likely that we're going to continue to the downside. We haven't seen any displacement like this in the previous candles. Most likely was here where we saw this bullish one up, take out liquidity, didn't close. And again, remembering that the overall trend is bearish as well. But as before, we got everything set where it needs to be. I only want to be out of a trade when it hits my stop loss. I don't really want to preemptively take it and then watch the market reverse. That happened a lot yesterday, and I'm not trying to repeat that. Okay, so more than likely, this might be the end of the road for us. We had this massive 5 minute bearish candle here, which completely engulfed. Had a little bit of a wick taking out this liquidity. Didn't really close above too, so really not looking good for our position right now. But again, we've adjusted stops, so at least handled some of the risk off. I'm happy with that. And more importantly, we're just sticking to the process of what we set out to do. So just wait here for this last 5 minutes, see what the market wants to do. I hate trading in these environments, man. Nothing happens. Are we long? Are we short? No idea what's happening. Just ranging. Still in the trade. About 50 minutes later, this might be where we start to fold back to the downside. So you got low resistance liquidity building up on both sides, which really isn't what you want to see. But we do have evidence of a sweep on the sell side, whereas we haven't really seen that on the buy side yet. So just wait and see the next 5-10 minutes is going to plan out. Okay, we have inverted this 5 minutes. Again, it could just be the range, maybe push up to the lows, bounce off that, and come down again. But hopefully, as we approach 5 o'clock now, we just check on an hourly time frame what this candle is looking like. Ideally, if we can have the body close above our entry, it would look nice to indicate potentially longs on the table, but especially after wicking out this previous low as well, that would be ideal to see. But we're just gonna have to wait. We'll check the 5 minute. If that's where we've been. Patience really does pay. I've been sitting in this for nearly an hour now, and the emotions, especially after seeing massive down close candles like this. But again, I think even now, I'm reflecting on it. I'm starting to get happy. You can see the emotion. You can see me smiling because the trade appears to be going somewhat in my favor. And that's what I said before. I don't want that to come into my trading. I'm just letting the market do what the market was going to do, whether I was in this or not. So it has just hit 5. We did close above our entries. It's a pretty nice reversal candle for the hourly. Just depends whether the market wants to follow suit with that or whether we just want to push down again and just retest. If we do come all the way back down here, I'll adjust this box. If that's really the lowest, I'd want to see it come back on us here to potentially fill more entries before going. After that closure and all of this momentum that we're seeing, ideally this is where we'd like to see the bullish pump occur. So we'll just wait and see. We'll check in soon. Yeah, we're finally starting to see some form of momentum. There's our push right there. Just going to adjust my stops to this low, the 5 minute. So nice, we're taking about $60 off, which is ideal for the time being, but we're just going to see if this wants to run for us. And now it just comes back to letting our winners run, and that's just the main thing. Stops should really be going break even at this point, I'd say. What do we have? We've got a FEG in here, we've got a volume imbalance in here. Keep it at this swing low. If we can get up to here, then we'll go to break even. Well, as soon as we get, hopefully, our first partial. All right, coming back on this last 10 minutes. Hopefully we can reach these Asian session highs. 10 seconds to go. We've taken these highs, so we'll adjust stops again. Hopefully we can look to take in this 5 minutes and then stops gonna be sitting here at break even. Just teasing us, hey. Literally gets right there and then wants to do a little bit of dancing. That's alright, leave everything as is for the time being. I will move stops to break even now actually, just because we've gotten so close. I don't see us coming all the way down back after reaching here. More than likely if we hit here, we haven't really taken out the liquidity though, these resting equal highs. So there's no reason for it to come back. We're just protecting ourselves in the off chance that it just absolutely explodes now. So just resting above to account for fees and whatnot. But break even. This is a great spot to be in your trade. Pressure's for the most part off, and I can just chill for the time being. I do have to be wary that if we do take four off, our entry is going to move up slightly. So just got to keep that in mind, obviously, as this is doing its thing. So if we can hit that point, we just got to be mindful of that to check the lower time frames just to see what's happening here. And patience really does pay off. And just not closing out the trade. Like on that 5 minute where it just gapped down, every part of me was like, oh, here we go. Might as well just cut the loss and keep the loss to a minimum. But I think really trying to just work on keeping everything as is. Everything's got a set place for where it needs to be. So here we go. Hopefully we can push through. It's really, really good to see. Up 91 leading into New York session now. This would be the last trade of London. I don't need to do anything until the news comes out at 8:30. I usually like waiting till 9:45 because there's usually another spike at 9:30 when the US market opens and then liquidity is seeked for again. Once that liquidity has been taken at 9:30, that's what activates me to go in based on just what I've been seeing. So we've got everything where it needs to be for the time being. I'm just watching the 10-minute chart as well, adjusting stops if we can close above 10-minute highs. I wish Top Step had a 10-minute, but they don't, unfortunately. Just plotting it on this chart first. It's actually going to be this low here. So that's the 10-minute. If we can close above this high, then it shifts to our break-even point. But just giving the trade enough room to breathe. We've got enough reason to expect price to continue pushing higher. So we're not going to stop ourselves short of profit. If we want to run, let's try and get the whole move. Nice strong 5-minute closure here, which is good to see. Still got another 5 minutes to go for this 10-minute. So just going to leave everything as is for the time being. All right, we're back after another 10 minutes. So we have been consistently making new highs, so we're just going to keep on adjusting this stop loss the higher we can get. So ideally we'll take it at these lows here. This will put us at our 200 for the funded account. So that's fine with me. So that's about the spot there. So we'll just take it from this low here, bank in, and if that's the case, it does come down on us, then we'll look to lock this one out for today. We don't need to trade it for New York. We've already made our 200 for the day, and we're just going to focus on trying to get to that 30-day mark. That's really the goal with this funded account, especially with blowing all the other ones. I think I was just going a bit too willy-nilly. This is going to be the strat moving forward and how we're going to manage the trades. Every 10 minutes, I'll come back and see if we can adjust this. Alright, we're back. We've had a few 10-minute candles print. I am going to adjust stops just to here now, as we've got this 10-minute low, which is printed, and we pushed a bit higher. So again, because we're counter trend, just trying to be a bit careful with this one. Ideally, I should wait for this next 3 minutes, just sticking to the rules I set for myself. We did adjust it just slightly. We had it this low. We'll move it up to this 10-minute low, and we're just going to wait for this 5 minute to close. Okay, so we did get that 10-minute closure, so now we are good to adjust stops to this low here. Ideally, probably should be this low here because we still got Asian session high there, which we might find a bit of support on. We'll just adjust it to here and continue to see if this wants to push. Okay, it's another 10 minutes, so stops are going to be adjusted to here. I'll just keep gonna doing this 10-minute strategy and just keep on moving. So that way we're trying to capitalize the full swing of the move before we get a pullback. We could essentially pull back into here and then continue going, but with the overall trend being bearish, I don't want to run that risk. So I'm really liking this strategy. It is looking like the move is starting to run out of steam. Just had another 10-minute closure. I'm just gonna adjust our stops once more. Let's check the 15 as well. Yeah, ideally our stop should be still at this body right here. So we'll keep it there for now. We're still having a bit of our trade continuing to run, which is really nice to see. But again, counter trend, that is why we partialed here, just in case we wicked and then came straight back down. You'd hate to see that. But ideally, you should be getting to a point where you're just watching the trade and the reaction at that point. This explosion here would have definitely led me to continue leaving it, but I think the way that I have handled this trade so far and managed it is really what I want to try and continue to employ. So just checking some pockets where we could potentially reverse. We did go through this volume imbalance, which is good to see. Got another spot in here, which we will take another partial at. We've got this hourly FEG. We've got the midpoint here, so we'll look to take one more off here. And then we'll leave these two as runners. We've still got two micros running for us. So a pretty good trade coming down here, but there's the benefit of letting your winners continue to ride for you. Check in again in another 10 minutes and we'll go from there. All right, another 10 minutes. Gonna adjust our stops to here. It'll be 400 on the day if we come down. On the 15-minute, it's a little bit under where we'd need to be. Might adjust this just to here. But yeah, still 400 on the day if it taps us down. If we still punch up to hit this partial, then that's still obviously beneficial as well. So either way, it's a good position to be in. Just gonna let another 10 minutes ride, come back, check in. Okay, it has just hit 7 a.m., which is usually when we start seeing reversals. So I'm just going to adjust the stops a little bit higher to lock in because this is more than likely where we start to see the move run against us. So yeah, again, still happy with that. And if that's the case, I'll lock myself out and we'll wait for the news coming out at 8:30. More than likely just going to lock myself out till 9:45, wait for the equities open and then look to go from there. So we'll just see what happens, see if we get knocked out or if we want to keep pushing higher. All right, beauty. So we did just take that partial and yeah, we're just letting this one continue to run if that's where it wants to go. So you got the next partial sitting at about halfway through that hourly FEG. And I just want to mark there's a 4-hour SIBI as well, which a few people in the Discord, so yeah, at the top of that range. So if we take another one off here, just wait to see what happens if we can get there. Really happy with the entry and just holding on for the main bit, holding on for all of this upward move. So we'll keep on waiting. 10 minutes, check in, same thing. Okay, so we're approaching 8 o'clock here. The trade hasn't pushed too much higher than when we first were. We did have a nice little push up, but coming right back down into it. Stops are just going to be at this level here to cash in our hopefully 400 for the day. Actually, 500. I forget we were already up. So yeah, brilliant green day for London. Just waiting to see what the trade wants to do for now. Okay, it has just hit 8 a.m. We're stalling. We got news soon. This trade, $647 locked up today. So I'm going to clear the accounts and lock this one out and wait till 9:45 on this 150K combine that we've got. Cool. Thanks for joining episode 8.